Welcome to Married with Gaming. I'm Jen, he's Mike. Let's roll some dice. Welcome back to Married with Gaming. I'm Jen. And today we're just going to talk about this craft project that I did as a challenge for Shadow over at Shadow and Sons channel. And the challenge was to use less than $10 in materials, super soaker or materials you can find at the Dollar Tree or free stuff to create a sci-fi type weapon. So for me, pretty uninspired until we walked around the Dollar Tree and I purchased a bubble gun for $3, a hanging lantern type thing with LED lights in it for $1. I don't know if it was 75 or 25, but somewhere in there. And a package of hair ties, the spirally kind, for $1. And a little package of some like gear toys for $1. And that is what I used to create my sci-fi gun. So step one was to disassemble the bubble gun. So I took the front end off, I took the screws out, took it apart, and took out the motor, took off the fan, took all of that stuff out. Then we went ahead and I cut a couple holes where I thought I might need them with a Dremel tool. That was my first time using the Dremel, and maybe I need supervision, maybe not, but I survived. And then we went ahead and primered it with a gray. Now, I did this in about 2 days, so it's not super polished or great yet. It could definitely use a better paint job. You can kind of see some of the points where the blue or the orange from the gun parts are kind of wiggling through. And then I disassembled the gas lamp, took off the fake light bulb, took out the fairy lights. And originally, I had wanted to use the fairy lights into the weapon. In trying to come up with a way that we could make the switch to turn them on longer without getting glue gummed up in there, I actually broke apart the entire mechanism. So luckily, I had another string of fairy lights that was just sitting on my desk that I hadn't used. And it did have a bigger battery pack, so I had to kind of reimagine. But I put a hole in the back where I can just use my finger to flip on the battery switch for the fairy lights. Then I assembled the cone from the lantern to the front of the bubble gun. And then because there were some gaps where I really had to put a lot of hot glue, I went ahead and glued on one of the hair ties there just to cover that up so it looked a little bit neater. And then I took once that was glued on, I took a clear plastic craft case that I had laying around and some little blue rock stones that Mike had laying around from some other craft project. And I balled up the fairy lights and I put them in there after feeding them through the gun mechanism, put the gun back together, glued everything down. And then I do diamond art paintings and I save all of my leftover diamond dots. So I spent a couple of hours covering every bit of the interior of the cone with diamond dots and tacky glue that I applied with a toothpick. Then the last step that I did was I glued one of the coil hair ties. I glued it to the interior of one of the gear toys, and I glued that to the side of the body of the weapon. And then I was going to originally place that coil coming to like the back side of the cone on the weapon. But because of the type of material that it's made from, I could not get anything to stick to it. Not super glue, not tacky glue, not duct tape. So I ended up gluing it to the side where there is a hole that the the little metal clip that was the hanger for the lantern. I took that out. I broke a toothpick in half. I stuck that toothpick in that hole and glued it on the inside of the gun. And then I put glue all over the coil and stuck that on the toothpick so that it holds it on there. And ta-da! That became my prism ray. Not really styled after any particular sci-fi show or influence, just kind of in my head I suppose if anything, it's more styled after like some of the campy sci-fi B movies that my dad used to watch as a kid. So that's kind of where the idea came from, and I submitted it to the contest. So that was my crafting corner this week. We're making a sci-fi ray gun. Hope you guys enjoy it. Until next time, keep gaming.